Stranger Things just dropped a new trailer for their new show coming out later this year called The First Shadow. This is in fact going to be a prequel show inspired by the events of Season 4, more specifically following Henry Creel as his family moves to Hawkins for the very first time.
What if I told you there was a way to bring them back?
Yup, that's right, we're taking a break from 11 in the 80s and instead we're getting a close-up look at young Henry in the 50s as he discovers and develops his new powers that will start him on his path to becoming Vecna. This is literally his villain origin story and I am so very excited. A new trailer dropped and there's some new hints in it about who he got his powers from, confirming our theory we made almost exactly a year ago today. They've also announced that as well as mainly following Henry's origin story, the show will also include a young Hopper, a young Joyce, and a young Bob Newby, all going through high school together. This is so cool. We're going to be getting a look at young high school Jopper for the first time.
That sounds promising.
If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name's Michael J, and I'm going to be making fun Stranger Things videos all the way up until Season 5 drops, because who knows how many years away that is, and we need some kind of content. So make sure you're subscribed. Not only do we have the First Shadow prequel show dropping in November, but on Halloween, we're also supposed to be getting an Eddie Munson book. It's going to be great to see him back as well, and crazy enough, I think only 12% of you guys watching this video right now are actually subscribed to the channel. What are you waiting for? Grab your bow and arrow and Katniss Everdeen that subscribe button right in the forehead, and then run away like a crazy person. Now that your marksman skills have been established, we can hop right into this new trailer. Now, first shot, we see the classic Welcome to Hawkins sign. This is the sign on the outskirts of Hawkins you see as you're coming into town. Leaving Hawkins Come Again Soon sign we see everyone pass at the end of Season 3. And if you remember, after the Starcourt Mall incident happened and everything went public, the town thought there was demonic play at work and the Welcome to Hawkins sign was vandalized and turned into Welcome to Hell. Not only the town speaking out, but also the Duffer Brothers indicating that from here on out, Hawkins will be hell. In fact, in Season 4, a gate literally gets opened to hell, or the upside down, and in Season 5, I think we're going to see hell come to Hawkins. Monsters, Demogorgons, Demodogs, Demobats, and a slew of new creatures will invade Hawkins. I'm really excited to see this, but I think here the welcome sign to Hawkins is referring to the Creel family driving into Hawkins for the first time. This is them seeing that sign. In the show, they kind of just breezed over it and show the family moving to Hawkins for the first time being all happy, minus the little cup of depresso in the corner, but they make it seem almost like they came here just to move to the city for a job or for a good school for the kids or something. But in reality, Henry says that when he was little, he didn't fit in with the other children. Something was wrong with him. He was different. All the teachers and the doctors they would take him to told him that he was broken, and apparently his parents thought that a change of scenery, maybe if they moved to a new place, that it would give him a fresh start, which obviously wasn't the case. Henry was almost offended by this, by the fact that his parents thought that moving to a new city would cure him. The only good thing about moving to this new house for him was the comfort he found when he came across a family of black widow spiders living in the vents. Are you hearing this? No wonder this little dude has problems. Yeah, but him finding the spiders is what inspires him to stop living like everyone else and try to break free out of the mold of life, leading him to discovering his powers for the first time. This is where he started tormenting his parents, and then his dad actually hired an exorcist to get what he thought was a demon out of the house, and it failed. Then his mom actually knew it was Henry that was showing them their nightmares and took him to see Dr. Brenner, which, first off, what the heck? She knows he has powers and also knew where to take him? You can't tell me Virginia Creel didn't have powers as well. Why else did she accept her son had powers so easily? And she had definitely been to see Brenner before for her powers, and then just brought her son in for a checkup basically. Because Brenner used to do tests on college women, easily something that Virginia Creel could have been involved in. This only pissed off Henry more to the point where he had to do something and ended up killing them all, hence Welcome to Hell. Now after this, Go Back to the Beginning comes on screen, just reinforcing that Henry's family moving him to Hawkins is literally where the entire Stranger Things story spawns from. 11, MK Ultra, Brenner, the Upside Down, everything comes from here. Then we see something interesting, something new. We see a shot of the moon in the night sky, and then a second later we see the silhouette of a bird fly across it, and then the moon flashes to red and blood pours out of it. Now the weird thing about this is if you pause it and look more closely at the bird, it looks like it's some kind of eagle, possibly a hawk, but with the sharp turn downwards in the beak and less of a curve, it feels like an eagle, which is weird, right? Eagles are birds of prey, way, are not usually nocturnal animals. Minus owls, of course, but this doesn't look like an owl. Plus, you would think it would be a bird associated with death or something, like a crow or a raven. My guess is they're using the eagle/hawk as a predator, referring to Henry Creel eventually turning into Vecna. I mean, he literally says that as a child, he looked up to the spiders he found because they were predators too. They preyed on the weak and brought balance to a disrupted ecosystem. So maybe this was just a predator reference of what's to come. I mean, eagles usually also represent a pure spirit, maybe the last bit of pureness leaving Henry Creel as he steps into this path of darkness. In Henry's monologue to Eleven, he literally tells her he hates the idea of people living each day the same, waking up, going to work, eating, sleeping, and then repeating it each day. And he said that he needed to break free from this pattern. So just the same, it could be him taking control of his life for the first time and breaking free from the societal restraints he hates so much. Now, the moon flashing to red is interesting. But real quick, if you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to punch that subscribe button. It's totally free and it really helps out the channel. Plus, you're not going to want to miss this next Stranger Things video I've got coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. But in a spiritual sense, a blood moon symbolizes the opening of the path to exploring what is often referred to as our darker side. Emotions such as rage, anger, grief, which Henry doing this is literally the plot of this show. These emotions are not widely acknowledged or praised in our culture, but they still exist. The blood moon here is literally symbolizing the beginning of Vecna, the start of Henry's path to becoming something much more than human. It's the beginning of the Stranger Things story too. This is where everything starts from. The blood drips down from the moon and transforms into the webbing of a spider, which we know plays a huge role in Henry's start on his path to the dark side. I really would love a novel covering his early discoveries just so we could hear the thoughts going through his head as all of this is happening. This has to be so crazy for a kid to go through, let alone someone with Henry's twisted way of thinking. He's such a recluse that he rarely speaks. It feels like he's always upset at the world and especially his family, but seeing him portrayed as this child falling to the dark side would be such a good read, I think. But I'd really like to see more of his relationship with the spiders and why he finds them so much more intriguing than anyone else should. It almost feels like he's going to be so alone and get bullied at school, and then he comes home and he's all by himself and the spiders are the only friends he has. I feel like instead of moving, his parents should have just gotten him a dog. Well, I mean, maybe not, I guess. He's not too nice to the other animals he eventually finds, but still, it's like the spiders were the only thing there for him when he was alone and he was just feeling a bit goth in his younger days and was like, yeah, spiders are cool, they eat up all the bugs. I want to be a spider when I grow up. And then cut to 20 years later and he actually births his own baby spider, the Mind Flare. Which, come to think of it, if he was getting bullied at school and was lonely and used the spiders to comfort him and keep him company, do you think when he was banished to the Upside Down that he was lonely, so he created a giant spider so he wasn't lonely? He literally made a new best friend out of thin air. I'm telling you, the Mind Flare is just his big emotional support spider. Now, from the spider, it flashes to a black cat, which I'm sure everyone knows the superstitions around black cats. Everyone thinks that if a black cat crosses your path, it will bring you bad luck. They have always been associated with witches and were at one point blamed and largely killed off for possibly spreading the bubonic plague. But what does this black cat mean? Is it associated to his mother, Virginia Creel? A black cat is a first for Stranger Things. The only cat that we still have in our hearts is Dustin's cat Muse, who got eaten by Dart, unfortunately. But it's okay because Dustin and his mom got another cat later that they named Twos, which was just as adorable. Now, we zoom in on the black cat and a cross appears in its eye, which leads me to believe that just maybe this will somehow be linked to Henry as well. As early as the 13th century, the Catholic Church linked black cats to Satan. I mean, Vecna literally is the devil incarnate in his own hell, the Upside Down. So as much as this could be linked straight to Henry himself, I kind of feel like there's more to it because they introduce a new element to this story. The cross in the cat's eye turns into a steeple on top of a church, and would you look who's in the window? Does that look like anyone we know? I feel like this looks just like Henry's mother, Virginia Creel. She has the silhouette of the same short hair that we see her with in the flashbacks, as well as the same shape of the same style dress we see her wearing. And we already know that she's going to play a bigger role than we think in Henry's origin and with the development of his powers, so it would make sense that this is her. The trailer is between Henry and his mother. As much as I would like them to keep the story at that, there was a casting call a while ago for a young girl for this show, possibly a love interest / crush for Henry at school, so there's always a slight possibility that they could be baiting us with his mom and it's really a new character. I'm worried if he does have a crush, since he's this socially awkward kid, there's a chance he would get rejected or turned down, and that's what infuriates him and sets him on this existential spiral that spawns his new powers. But the reason that I'm putting my money on it being his mom, aside from the similarities in the silhouette, is because of this next shot. It pans back real quick to the attic of the Creel house with a young Henry standing in the window. This is the original promotional shot they've been using, and it flashes to Vecna's shadow on the ground. By the way, this looks so absolutely sick. Great marketing. I actually turned this into a high-res wallpaper you can find over on my Twitter at itsmichaelj. Definitely go snag that if you're excited about this show. But after that is the shot I was talking about. There's a quick frame of the grandfather clock ticking. We all know how much Henry hates the construct of time, and this grandfather clock is what he uses to lure his victims into a trance before he kills them. But after this is the shot of two hands reaching out for each other. And if you look at this closely, you can clearly see that one hand is much larger than the other. One looks like a child's hand, Henry Creel's, and the other an adult hand, which is possibly his mother's, reaching out to save him. It could be a physical fall in the attic that she's saving him from, or it could symbolize her efforts to save her son from going down this path he's on. I don't think Henry likes his mother or wants her to help for that matter. All we know of right now is he's mad at her for taking him to see Dr. Brenner to get him fixed or locked away. But I want to see where their relationship started. I want to see her be motherly towards him and see what goes wrong before things spin out of control. And wait a second, why was Virginia Creel in a church? Are we getting a backstory of her and the origin of her powers as well? We know that she knew Henry had powers without him telling her, which leads us to believe she has powers too, just like Terry Ives had powers that led to the birth of Eleven having powers. But why is she in a church? Maybe when she first discovered his powers, she sought out help from the church, she just didn't know where else to go? I mean, we also know that her husband, Victor Creel, tried to perform an exorcism at their new house because Henry was tormenting them and he thought they had demons.
Jesus Christ, this kid's got to get his ego in check.
It's his tone, right?
I know.
So maybe this is them at the church getting the priest for the exorcism, and Virginia is just here looking out the window knowing deep down that it's not a demon, it's their son who's behind this. I mean, why didn't she tell her husband about Henry's powers? Is it because she's never told her husband about her own powers? See, this is what I'm talking about. I need so many answers. They could literally do a Virginia Creel origins book as well. I would love the extra lore. With only this show and then season 5 left before the main Stranger Things story is over, I worry they won't have time to answer all of our questions. Now, to end the trailer off, they finished the text of the beginning of the Stranger Things story might hold the key to what comes next to the end of it all, which honestly is also crazy. They're putting in such a huge plot point to season 5 in this. Maybe we'll get some answers about how significant the clock is and if it's Vecna's Horcrux that they'll have to destroy in season 5.
I mean, it's just a clock, right?
Voldemort who now? Tell me in the comments what you think the key to the end will be. I'm going to continue making Stranger Things videos all the way up until season 5, so make sure you come along for the journey if you love the show. Go watch this other video, and until next time, I will see you in the comments. Peace.